Welcome, Senor Feas. Buenos dias.
Buenos dias.
First of all, Spain has made a terrific turnaround in recent months. In the first quarter of this year, I understand the economy grew by 0.4% on positive territory. Is the worst over?
Yeah, well, we could say so. I mean, it's a fact that now we are really out of the woods, and the worst of the crisis is over. After the 1.2 negative growth in 2013, now the forecasts of both Commission and the OECD and the government are between 1 and 1.2% for 2014. So this is really
in positive territory.
In positive territory. So everything is going back to normal little by little.
For the benefit of our viewers, can you paint us a picture of Spain's economic condition today?
Well, the main problem in Spain remains unemployment, because this is the last thing that is solved in any crisis.
Yeah.
But there are very good signs in other senses. For instance, in the external sector, all data are extremely positive and outstanding. We are really doing fine in terms of stability, in terms of public deficit remained at 7.3% of GDP.
Our unemployment rate has peaked at 27%, I understand. How was it improved in the last semester? Because I understand it's gone down quite significantly.
Down. April was a big improvement. More than 100,000 people got jobs.
So we're looking at about a 1.2% increase in our GDP, in your GDP, I'm sorry, in your GDP for the current year. What exactly is driving the growth?
The behavior of this external sector has been outstanding in the last year. You must realize that, for instance, the number of tourists reached 60 million.
Has it reached 60 million? Congratulations.
Even 100 million visitors. Foreign direct investment reached 30 billion.
Enrique, would you say that the crisis has forced you to put some important reforms in order to strengthen your fundamentals?
Yes.
If so, what were these reforms that were instituted in the last, say, 4 years?
Yeah, if you want my opinion, really the government has to be credited for a huge and thorough reform of the banking sector.
Yes.
I mean, which was really needed. Due to the uncertainty related to the euro. The number of banks has gone from 50 in 2009 to 12 in 2000.
So there's been a lot of consolidation.
Exactly.
With the banking.
Exactly. The system of the savings banks has been turned into a pure bank system, and this is really good. I mean, now, for instance, to give you a data, all stress tests done today, even in the worst case scenario, all the provisions would cover the possible losses. So
very good. Very good. So there was a time that the non-performing loans ratio to total deposits was in double digit. How are we today?
Still high, but going down. Which is in the end the only question is the trend and the provisions to cover that losses.
Right. Now, this year Spain has edged up, and I believe it is now the 13th largest economy in the world, with a GDP of $1.4 trillion. In relative terms, for our viewers, in context, the Philippine economy is edging 300 billion, and here you are at $1.4 trillion dollar economy. What would you say are the industries in which Spain is globally competitive in?
Just to give an idea, 50% of our exports today are related to IT, directly or indirectly, to whether it is pharmaceutical, whether it is electronic.
So it's a knowledge base.
It's knowledge base. It's not anymore agro-food products as it was in the 60s or in the 70s.
But I'm curious to know, how is the agriculture and agro-processing industry, because this, I understand, was one of the pillars of the Spanish economy in the 50s and 60s.
Exactly.
How much of the economy is still based on agriculture?
Well, the share of agriculture to GDP and to employment is low because for natural reasons, because it's a developed economy.
Yes.
And precisely because this has been a movement from the agriculture to the value-added sectors of the chain in agriculture. We are particularly competitive in sectors related to agro-processing.
Right.
We are the first or the second in the world in irrigation systems.
In irrigation,
together with Israel. We have very competitive systems in the cold chain.
Yes, yes.
In post-harvesting harvesting systems, warehouses,
Yeah.
and
But you know, Enrique, one of the economic thrusts of the Philippines is to climb up the value chain in as far as our agriculture is concerned. Are there alliances now that are brewing between Spanish companies and Philippine companies in the agricultural or agri-processing sector?
Yes, there are, and they are growing. In fact, for once, we have, for instance, a big seaweed treatment plant in the Philippines.
And what's the name of the company? That's a Spanish company?
FEAMSA, it's the Spanish company for marine seaweed, for seaweed.
Right. Yeah.
It's Compañía Española de Algas Marinas. They utilize the seaweed from the Philippines. They treat them here in the Philippines, and they export it to Europe. And they are now thinking of evolving in the value chain. In the end, that's one of the benefits of FDI. You begin by producing basic things, and then you evolve.
Exactly. And there's a technology transfer. There's a technology transfer. Where do you see bilateral trade heading in the next few years? What trends do you see?
I see precisely the growth in the sectors that we are more competitive at, because in general terms, I mean, countries tend to trade with their neighbors. This is a normal tradition. So what it's true is that given our historical links, at least we should be the biggest European partner. At least.
I totally agree. I totally agree.
We are not yet there.
But I think we're the biggest, in Asia at least, I think we're the biggest market for Spanish spirits and wine.
For sure.
For sure.
For sure, and in second. But precisely that, in relation to what I was saying previously, the type of goods that we trade for now does not reflect well the competitive edge of Spain. We tend to trade with the Philippines products more related to the tradition.
I understand.
Agro-food.
I understand. Yeah.
But now, precisely because we are very competitive in infrastructure, in construction, in concessions. Exactly. Now that the Philippines is in the middle of a path of transition towards modern and consistent infrastructure throughout the country. Yes. Now we have a role to play there, and we have perceived an increasing interest by the part of very big groups
That's
of
very
infrastructure,
good to know.
And it only requires one or two having a success story to bring many other companies to the Philippines.
Well, we'll do everything we can to make that happen. At least I will. Are Spanish companies really heading to the Philippines first?
Spanish investment in the Philippines is growing slowly. I mean, it's growing, but it's growing slowly.
Yeah.